The Severe MMA Podcast Premium with Sean Sheehan and Graham MacDonald. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Severe MMA Podcast. Joined today by the Cage Warriors middleweight champion James Webb as he prepares for his first title defense coming up here in a month's time. James, how are you today on this beautiful May Day?
I'm good, Sean, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Look, the first thing I want to ask you is about Ireland. And a lot of people have kind of been calling you an honorary Irishman, saying you're the MMA's answer to Jack Charlton and all this. How did you end up coming to Ireland and training with Chris Fields?
I ended up coming here from grappling with some guys from SPG basically years ago, and one of them sort of I started like competing MMA but really just for fun. I wasn't even training MMA. I had a lot of fights without doing any MMA, if you know what I mean. I was just doing some grappling, some kickboxing, and then I just got pointed in the direction of Chris, and I pretty much I went there and never turned back. I started to make it a thing to come over, and turns out it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. So that's how I got to meet Chris. So just from someone, I didn't just fly over. I had just a contact who got me in, and there's a bit of a funny story with it all, about trying to get to SPG, but I might save that for another day.
With Chris, was it kind of, he was obviously fighting as well time. He's still fighting at the moment, maybe not as regularly. Was it kind of like he's similar size to you and everything like that, and maybe it was a training partner as well as a coach you were looking for?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually realise I was going to get actually thrown in with Chris. I just sort of thought I'm going to go over to pretty much I was looking to go over to SPG Concord and train, see what was going to happen. And it didn't really turn out the way I thought it was. I was only going for a week, and I was told I'd have to pay X amount, and it was actually Joey Breslin who introduced me to Chris in the end. He was just like, look, Chris is going to be fighting. He's big. He's a middleweight, and he's got a lot of the bigger guys training. And Chris pretty much then he took me on. He just sort of he used me as a training partner, and so I just followed him for that week. I didn't actually. I went to SPG Concord once, and it was he is a training partner. He's one of my main training partners here, but I wouldn't say we're nowhere near the same size. He's actually a lot bigger than me at the moment. So. But he's a great training partner to have, and then obviously he just fell into being my coach. He obviously opened up the gym and went into the coaching side of it, and I just stuck with him, so something that I will continue to do is, stick with him and stand by what he does and go forward.
So what was kind of the initial reaction to coming to SPG Concord? Obviously, the main John Cavan is the main gym, and was it kind of a blessing in disguise that kind of happened? Do you think, looking back at it, or at the time, what was kind of your reaction to being kind of, what was it, kind of turned away at the door, or just told you had to pay money?
No, it wasn't. I was never turned away at the door. It was pretty much, I was just told I could come over, but it was, X amount for the week, whatever. And to be fair, I agreed with it. I was like, yeah. I remember there was a scheme going on, if you competed as a, if you medaled it in an IBJJF tournament, you come over for free training. I think I half expected that, but I wasn't committing to moving. I was just looking to just train. And then I think it was a blessing in disguise, if I'm honest with you, because I met Chris just before he opened his gym,
Yeah.
And it sort of then fell into place from there, if I didn't come over at that time, it might not have happened, so, and if I went and paid the money, I probably wouldn't have come back, but I wouldn't probably be in the situation I am now, so.
So, coming over, obviously, it's going to be expensive, whatever the situation is. How are you finding it now? Are you living in Ireland full time? Are you traveling back and forth, or what way are you doing it?
No, I still travel back and forth. It's not. It's more of it's annoying. It's an annoyance more than anything, the traveling. But I'm used to that now. That actually doesn't bother me. You sort of finish your week off here, and I'm ready to go home. and when I arrive here in the beginning of the week, I'm ready to train, you know. So it's not so bad. Like the traveling, I have my flights booked in advance, you know. Like my fight money and my PTs that I do still goes into all of this, you know. So you're not living that life of luxury, but I'm sort of living the life I want, you know. So I get best of both worlds. I get to go home, spend time with my fiance, my family, my friends, and then I get to come over here and see again my friends. Like these guys here are like a family as well, you know. So I'm very fortunate the position I'm in, and yeah, I'm happy to do that. It's working so far, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I was listening to, I was watching a couple of your fights, and they were talking about how you were kind of sleeping in the gym for a while. Are you still doing that, or was that just kind of when you came over?
No, I was doing that for about 3 years. I'm at the moment, I don't actually sleep in the gym anymore. I stopped doing that. I actually I stay with Chris a little bit. He like brings me in. Not that I try and say no all the time, you know, like I don't like to intrude on people. But I stopped staying in the gym. I needed to get out of the gym as such. So there's another place where I do my conditioning in the Irish Strength Institute down in Malahide, and they've got like a little clinic there. And there's a float room. There's also like a spare room where it's clean and it's away from the gym. Like if you're in the gym the whole time, it's really mind numbing, you know.
Yeah.
So I sort of I'm between sometimes Chris's house, and that's like most of the time he's really good to me. You know, he'll put me up there, or I stay at the clinic in Malahide. So it's, you know, like it's, you know, you're not living easy, and I don't have anywhere I have to, you know, I can't afford to pay, especially the rent around here, man. It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, like I stopped living in the gym mainly because it was just it becomes then. I don't know really what it becomes like. It's almost like the guys were laughing at one point saying it's like a prison cell, you know?
Yeah.
You're sort of just there, you know, you're in a room and then you're in the gym and then you're back in the room. And, you know, like it gets a bit mind numbing. So switched up a little bit. That's only been since the beginning of the year, really. So, I mean, I'm still classed as homeless, if that's what you're asking. But
do you ever think, like, you know, when you're a Cage Warriors champion now, and that's kind of still the life you're living? Like, I don't know that a lot of people realize that's what fighters kind of have to go through to invest in themselves to get to where they want to go. Do you ever like have times of, like, thinking to yourself, is this even fucking worth it?
I don't ever really question, is it worth it? Like, I sort of know from everything that's happened and where I am now that it is worth it. But like, I had this last week actually. I finished training on the Wednesday, and I actually wasn't sure where I was staying, and it's not really like a nice feeling, you know. I don't want to say to Chris, "Am I staying with you?" And then like sometimes like then you've got to get the bus over. Like if the guys aren't in the gym, if I can't get a lift over to Malahide, I've got to wait for a bus to bring you over, and you just think like you're almost like a bit lost. I felt like a bit like you know, like I don't have anything, but you're almost like, fuck, like what am I doing? Like you don't know where you're sleeping at night, you know, almost. You know? So but like it's part of the journey, you know, like you look back and you realise what built you. There was, you know, I've had a lot of stuff given to me, but in the same like sense, I worked hard for that, you know, like, you know, Chris gave me a lot and he looks out for me a lot, but I think that's purely because I put myself out there, you know, and did all the hard stuff. Like it wasn't just handed to me. It wasn't like, here, come over, here's a place, here's this. Like I proved my worth to them guys, you know, like I feel like I was worth like coaching, you know. Yeah. So I'm sure there's hundreds of people that come and go, and that's not me, you know. So
that's great. Like I suppose, you know, we talk a lot about maybe the old SPG guys coming up, like the way you did, you know, hard in the gym with no money and stuff, and how that benefited them. Maybe it's kind of changing, and not just SPG everywhere. Do you feel like that's actually going to benefit you, make you tougher mentally and all that? You know, it might be tough mentally, but it'll make you tougher as well.
Yeah, I believe that. Like, I said this actually to Chris, and I said it to Paddy Houlihan when I saw him. It was on the No Shame podcast. Yeah. Like, I feel like at the moment I'm doing a lot of stuff that a lot of people wouldn't do. You know, like I moved. I leave my family and my friends, and I leave my fiance, and I'm here. And like I said, you don't know where you're living, and like it's hard, like day to day. You know, like I ask like fucking Chris sometimes for fucking money if I haven't been paid by someone. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that, because I go through that, I'm pretty confident the guys I fight don't. And there's just that little bit more of a grit and a will to beat people, you know. Like I I feel like unless I get knocked out, I'm gonna win. Like I'll find a way to win. Like I have a lot more determination. You know, like I really like put my mind through it and my body. You know, like I put every part of it through it. So I believe it will pay off, and I think that gives me an extra edge. You know, like knowing that you are mentally tough. Like that gym, like last fucking year was so cold. You know, like it's freezing. You know, you're in there like full tracksuits trying to sleep, like. And you just think to yourself, like, he's not doing that. You know, like I always believe that like, my opponents always seem to be training at home and probably get to see their partner every day. And if they have a kid and their family, like I come over here and I work, you know, and I put myself in like a position where I have to work and I have to work hard and I have to sacrifice all that to be where I want to be, you know, like it's not going to be easy. So.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose all that kind of boils down into what happens inside the cage. And watching your fights, it's funny because usually I watch fights and I watch like the first few fights in someone's career and then the last few, and there's like a big uptake in ability, you know, technical ability and all. And yours, I think you were good from the start and really good now. But to me, what stuck out, and maybe it's just I'm a bit biased because I love strategy, but your strategy has improved the leaps and bounds. How much do you work on specifically strategy coming into fights and then kind of changing up within a fight?
We don't change it up. We know what it is. Like the strategy's like set. Like we know what we're gonna do. We're gonna just bully and come forward, and then from there, like we have like a lot of sequences. Like me and Chris have gone over the years, a lot of sequences, and I've like perfected like where I am good at now. So I know that once I get to these positions, I have like 2 or 3 different ways to get different things, and I can set traps for different things and submissions and like to like almost nullify my opponent, you know. And it's to be honest with you, it's a bit of a grind, and the style is very like taxing on me, but that's why I push myself to my limits in like my strength and conditioning, because I know if I'm feeling it, they're feeling it, you know. The style I put on people is like it's a fast pace and it's tough, and it is very methodical. We're not going in there and just trying to wing it. Like there's a method to it, you know. Like there's always a method to it. And like I said, we have so many sequences. I haven't really been with my back on the cage too much just yet, apart from actually a fight I lost where I was a bag of shite. But I feel very confident there, you know. But like when I'm attacking, I feel like I feel very strong, you know. And like I said, they're all sequences and they all have their meaning to it, you know. Like I'm always looking for a position where I can start chaining stuff together, and I know once I start getting onto the cage and getting someone seated or even taken down, I know that from then I'm gonna grab something, I'm gonna get something, you know. And it happened with like when it started with the Pelou fight back last year, you know, like I just wrestled him the whole round on the cage, took him down a few times, and then he literally, when he come out, when I went to double like level change, he was like, I ain't going back there, you know. It ended up opening the shot up for me to hit him with the uppercut, and then we didn't get to see that much with Jason, you know. Like I think he thought that was going to happen, to push to the cage, and so the shot landed. But then with Thomas, like I just did that. I kept trying to wear him down, like searching for takedowns, and even when I got myself taken down, I was trying to scramble. Like I knew I was going to set a scramble up, and that ended up nearly getting a knee bar. And there's a method to it. It just looks a bit crazy, but there is a method to it all, you know. And it is methodical. Like once I get to these positions, I do have traps, and I do leave traps there. Like I have traps that if you don't give me something, you'll end up being submitted, and if you give me what I want, you'll end up getting ground and pounded. And if you give the back, I'll take you back. And if you like, there is a little bit of a method to it. So.
Like, sure. You know, you said there your first fight, and I think that's kind of the first loss you had. Sorry, that's kind of the exact maybe opposite of your last fight. Whereas I love watching someone like Jack Hermansson, who's a middleweight as well. And he fights a very, you know, maybe not a similar style to you, but a very kind of cardio oriented style in that he goes, never stops. Like you're like that as well, kind of in first rounds, but in the second round you kind of go for takedowns and push them. But maybe they only come in the second round. But is that a kind of thing that you think of? I'm going to put one style in the first round, or maybe late in the first round into the second round, I'm going to change it up and give him something totally different. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you are right. Yeah, like, do you know what? It's just what me and Chris said. We try and make the first round a bit of a we try and see what happens in the first round,
Yeah.
So we normally come in, we try and see what he's going to do more than anything, figure it out. And then the second round, it will be like, we will look to like then start pushing and closing the distance a lot more. But I'll try and do that in the first round. It will happen in the first round, We try and get it going, but like we just look to keep it up and try and get the guy tired first with the speed, the pace, even if we can push to the cage and hold, get the arms burning. And then the second round is going to be looking to put the pressure on, but I mean, at the same point in time, if I got the takedown and I knew I was in, I'd probably take that and would be looking to go straight away. It's just that in the first round, guys are stronger. They're more aware of what's happening, and once you get tired, you make them little mistakes, And unfortunately, like I've proven a few times that once like other people are tired, I can then still keep imposing my game on them. So. Yeah, we'll just take what we can get, really.
You mentioned your uppercut there, and to me, I always look at guys, and maybe not their best shot, but they're the shot that stands out to me. And your uppercut is a shot that stands out to me. And obviously, you need the variation to change things up to land it all the time. But like, how much time do you work on that specific shot to be able to land it? Because it's so good to me that like people are obviously looking for it, and to be able to land it now must be getting harder and harder all the time.
But if it becomes harder to land, then it means that the takedowns are like, if they're gonna, do you know what I mean? If I level change and they cover up high and there's no uppercut, or they sort of back themselves up, it's hard to back yourself up with someone throwing a shot and have a good stance. Then I can just run through for the takedown. So it's sort of just about seeing in the moment what's there, And like I said, like in that uppercut really landed because like the pressure on the cage, and I just don't think once you feel that, and everyone. Like, it's something actually Chris said to me. Like, a lot of people look at the game plan and think, like, that's easy to deal with. Like, it's not. Like, when you got someone who can chain stuff together and drag you about, and it's not easy to deal with. I know it's not easy to deal with. And I know that, like, I know that no one can stop that style. And I know come June 29th, it's not gonna change. But my style, they won't have an answer to it. And if they do, then great. Like, come take me down, great.
I want to ask you about Nathias in a second, but last thing about your strategy and stuff. Like, how much confidence does it give you on the feet? Like, to me, watching lads, the most frustrating thing sometimes watching fighters is their inability to kind of let their hands go or go forward. If you have a go forward style, to you, does that come from like your ground game being so good and you having the confidence in the ground game to be able to strike like that? Because even if someone catches a kick or if it goes to the ground, you're still confident enough there. Is that where it comes from?
Part of that as well, and also just like I feel like Chris, like the guys always say, like that my hands are quite heavy, so they have to be. I go back in at 94 kilos, you're not light anymore. So, you start hitting people at that weight, you hurt people, So there is the confidence that I'll get back to my feet. I won't get submitted. I'll probably sweep or submit off my back, but also that if I do land, because you're expecting the takedown, then it's gonna hurt you, Like I don't really know. I think you're just in that moment of fight. We know what the game plan is, but there's also that part of you that's just like, right, we have to have a fight here. So you end up just like start swinging a little bit, probably a bit too much, but. It seems it's working. Touch wood, it's working.
It's working so far. And that to me, just swinging is what I expect to happen against Nathias Fredrick. He is a wild man, isn't he? This is going to be to me. I think it's either going to be like, or it's going to be two parts of fight. On the feet, it's going to be wild, and on the ground, it's going to be very dangerous. Either you're going to submit him or he's going to like lay on top. He's a very heavy top game. Like, how do you see this fight going, and what do you think of him as an opponent?
I think he's a good opponent. Like I have full respect for my opponents. I'm not really too fussed about this heavy top game that you were saying about. That doesn't really concern me. He's got to get on top for that, And like I said, Thomas wasn't a bad grappler either, but he got on top of me and nearly got his leg broke. So we'll see how it works out. I'm not concerned about the heavy top game at all. If I get on top, I'm pretty confident that'll be over. On the feet, I'm expecting him to swing, but swinging's only good if you have the distance to swing. If someone's coming 40, it's very hard to swing. It's very hard to generate power going back. So it's either going to be a meet in the middle, and then we're going to see what happens on the ground. Or like it's a fight, you might get cleaned out in 10 seconds. Sean, and it's game over. You know, you never know how it's going to go. That's the beauty of it. But I'm expecting like you know, a similar performance from myself. You know, I'm going to come forward and I will land shots and I will get a takedown. And when I get the takedowns, like people will be expecting them to be finished. You know, like, and well, I'm not sure the opponent will, but people expect the finish. You know, and it's been coming. So whether it comes in the first round or the third round, the intensity will still be the same. You know, like I'll still be there, or even the fifth if it goes that far, but it won't be. You know, like I don't fight for the decision. You know, I'm there to finish and to keep that finish streak going. So I believe I have a lot more for people to worry about than I have to worry about right now. You know, I feel like I'm dangerous in a lot of areas. I feel like I'm very strong in a lot of areas. You know, and to top it off with, I have a very good gas tank. You know, like I said, I work very hard on that. So I am like I can in the third rounds. I can still fight. You know, I can still throw my hand. I can still grapple. I can still take people down. I can still find submissions. I will still be there, you know.
I want to ask you another bit about that fight, but to finish things up. But I have to ask you about Ian Garry, because I feel like every time I talk to someone who trains with Ian Garry or Ian himself, that I have to get like, because I think this is going to be like historical, and we look back at an interview in like 5 years' time and talk about Ian Garry. Like, how good do you think Ian Garry can become from training with him and being with him in the gym all the time?
I love it. I think he's going to go to the UFC, put it that way. I don't think there's any limit you can put on anyone. I don't think there's a limit you can put on him. Certainly, and I think he at the moment possesses a lot of qualities that can like make you a champion, you know, like a world champion. And I think he can potentially do that in the UFC as well. You know, like I don't think anyone really will, you know, like I don't think anyone can really stop him in the sense of how well or how much he believes in that, you know. So I personally think he will do that, you know. I think if you give it another 4 or 5 years, he probably will be in the UFC, you know. Definitely, you know, he's very good, you know, and he's getting very good as well, you know. He's tough to deal with everywhere, you know. But it makes it great for our team, you know. Like our teams, we all get better off each other. All the guys are really good, you know. But no, like to answer the question, I think Ian can be truly very good, you know. It just depends whether things go the way he wants them to go, and you know, life does get in the way of you. But I'm pretty sure the way he thinks right now, and others, that he has the potential to be that guy, you know, to do it. Definitely. Obviously,
you know, yourself and Chris Fields and Tom King as well in the gym. It's always good to have people like that kind of with you along the way. But for yourself, the 29th of next month, we were exactly a month out from it now. That cage door closes behind yourself and Nathias Fredrick. Tell us exactly what happens. Tell us how it's going to go down and how you're going to win.
I don't actually know how it's going to go down, but all I know is that I will win that fight. I will go forward. I will finish the fight. I don't care where I finish the fight, but I will finish the fight. I can't tell you how, but if any of what I put together comes together, it will be over, you know. And like I said, I'm in there to finish it. The only concerns I have of like are the early swinging, you know, but that won't be happening in rounds 2, 3 to 5 if we're still there, you know. He's not going to be keeping that pace of swinging up, you know. Where, like I said, I'll still be searching for submissions and searching for the finish. So I don't know how, but I guarantee I win that fight, and I guarantee that I finish it. I know that I'll finish the fight, you know. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it anyway. I think everyone listening is looking forward to. Yeah, last thing here, anywhere you want to tell people where to follow you on Twitter, or any sponsors or anything you want to give a shout out to here?
I am Poderoso MMA on Instagram, James Webb MMA on Twitter, and I've got quite a few sponsors at the moment, so I'm just going to give them a little thank you by just saying thank you to all my sponsors.
Perfect. Sounds good. James, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for joining me today. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you.